The ollie, in its most raw form, is causing the skateboard to go airborne while the athlete is jumping. It is the fundamental movement for skateboarding in the streets. The movement is used to jump over obstacles, gaps, or onto platforms. The movement is also the beginning motion of more complex tricks and maneuvers on the ground, including flipping or spinning of the board and spinning of the athlete.
The stance phase is made up of the tibiofemoral, acetabulofemoral, and the talocural joint. All the muscles within these joints are isometrically contracting during the stance phase. This means the muscles are not elongating or shortening during this phase. They are maintaining one position in order to help stabilize the athlete before performance. The preparatory phase stretches the agonist muscles that will be used in the movement phase. In the preparatory phase, there will be flexion occurring in the tibiofemoral, acetabulofemoral, and the intervertebral joints. There will also be plantar flexion occurring in the talocural joint.
The movement phase is broken down into two different parts, the beginning and the secondary. This is because there are multiple motions occurring through the entire movement. The beginning movement. The left leg has extension in the acetabulofemoral and tibiofemoral joints, while the talocaral joint plantar flexes. The right leg has acetabulofemoral abduction. The ankle inversion and glenohumeral joint has horizontal abduction and extension with scapulothoracic retraction. Secondary movement. The left leg has acetabulofemoral and tibiofemoral flexion and extension, while the right leg has acetabulofemoral adduction, flexion, and extension. while the tibiofemoral joint also has flexion and extension.
In the follow-through phase, there is tibiofemoral joint flexion, acetabulo-femoral joint flexion, and plantar flexion. The right glenohumeral joint flexes and internally rotates, while the scapulothoracic joint is protracting. The left glenohumeral joint is horizontally abducting, while the scapulothoracic joint elevates. In the recovery phase, the acetabulo-femoral and tibiofemoral joints of both legs are extending while the glenohumeral joint is internally rotating with scapular thoracic protraction. There is also a little bit of talocrural joint plantar flexion.
In conclusion, the skateboard ollie has multiple motions in multiple joints, including the acetabulo-femoral joint, the tibiofemoral joint, the talocrural joint, the glenohumeral joint, and the scapulothoracic joint. Movements which involve flexion and extension involve in the sagittal plane along the frontal axis, and movements that involve abduction and adduction are done in the frontal plane along the sagittal axis. And then there's also movements that internally rotate in horizontal abduction, adduction, which involve the transverse plane along the longitudinal axis.